5,000 miles into my 2024 Subaru WRX TR, and I want to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of my ownership experience. And I'm going to start off negative and leave y'all on the positive note. It's going to sound like it's a bad car, but it's not. Let me preface that. So, ugly, the way that the car looked. In the stock form, this car is not the most beautiful thing to look at, but we have aftermarket to fix that. So, ugly things that I did notice: the grille, the plain spoiler, the wheels. Even though the TR does have nice looking wheels and upgraded brakes, which on the regular WRX, the brakes are squishy. Not to say that they don't perform as well as these Brembos, but they just feel wrong. But those are some of the things that I first noticed. And buying the WRX, I knew what I was getting myself into. And I heavily leaned into the aftermarket support, which is huge and phenomenal. You can build this car to be pretty much whatever you want it to be. So I wanted my car to look great. So I fixed the ugly. There's a couple other ugly things about the vehicle and the way that it functions, like the seatbelt chimes. Why did that just lock with my booty touching the door handle? And unlike I'm not even touching the handle. So the seatbelt chimes, I noticed that if you're not buckled up, it's going to chime. Like when I drop my kids off at school, they unbuckle, get out the car, but the chimes just blare at you. Even if you pull the parking brake up, the seatbelt chimes are still going to go off. And it's not only the fact that they do chime, it's the fact that the chimes are kind of broken and cut off. So yeah, as an engineer, I used to work on the seatbelt. It's called belt minder, the seatbelt buckle chimes, which who would have thought that's the over-engineered feature on certain car manufacturers, but it's a thing, and it's something that I was an expert in. And this car, it just fails badly. Like, this car could not make it into the production the way that these chimes are. But I guess Subaru doesn't care about those types of things. But the chimes blare and they cut off. They're not consistent with the volume and the frequency of the chimes, which is weird. I'm shocked. Another ugly thing that I had to experience is when I first got the car, but they do have an update that fixed this, the calls would drop off. The calls would just shut off like every minute to 2 minutes. Thankfully, that update was there. Because when I'm in the car, I talk on the phone a lot. And when I'm driving this car, I just don't talk on the phone. And actually, I still don't talk on the phone in this car just because of the call quality. It's just so bad. People said it sounds like I'm muffled, so I have to speak very articulately. But that still doesn't help because it just sounds like I'm talking through a styrofoam cup. It's just bad audio. Maybe there's a mod where you can get a better speaker or a better microphone in here. That would be a thing to add to the mod list. The bad, we're going to start off talking about this stock exhaust. It's not the STI mufflers, but this exhaust is slightly droney, ever so slightly droney. But on the cold start, it is quite loudish. So in my backyard, when I start this up in the morning, it vibrates the doors in the house. The only other cars that I've had that done that was a Hellcat with a mid muffler delete and my Z01 Camaro with no mufflers. Those cars did that. Why does this WRX with mufflers do that? I have no idea, but your neighbors might not be the happiest with the stock exhaust. The note that comes out is quite decent, but it's on the louder side, especially at cold start. The stock steering wheel was a little bit rough around the edges, meaning didn't have soft leather, just plain as plain Jane, but upgraded that. The interior is not bad to look at, but one of the bad things is this screen that startup. It's very laggy, and sometimes it's just not solid. That's another thing I don't understand that went into production. The sound system is great, but just using this. So the size of this screen is a plus, but if it were more fluid, faster, it would be excellent. At startup, it's just super slow and laggy. Got to get warmed up. The native screen is not a whole lot to write about, so I just always keep it in CarPlay. Yeah, it's like nothing here really that you need to see, so CarPlay it is. And then since this is the giant screen, the glare right now, I can't even show y'all what I'm trying to say. And then the rear view camera for a screen this large is kind of smallish. But I am thankful that they do have some quick HVAC buttons on the sides here, heated seats. You can customize these buttons in the corner to do a couple different functions, which comes in handy. Home link, This is my 29th car, so I know how to program HomeLink. I've done it so many times before. I could not get HomeLink to work with this vehicle, so I never had HomeLink paired to this mirror. And this armrest is terribly, it's just, your arm really can't rest on it, because when I normally sit here, my arm, crap, can't get it in the frame, but my elbow sits at the edge of this cushion. There is an extension that you can get, which should have came stock. So I just don't like this armrest. It's so far back. The shifting feel was terrible. I didn't have the STI short throw shifter, so I got a shifting plate, shifting bushing, and a Cobb shift stop installed. It is much, much better now, because it was sloppy. When it was in gear, it would like go from side to side, and it still kind of does that. So this is 5 to 6. I didn't adjust the Cobb shift stop on this side, so it would do this in first and second, but it was actually more loose. But now when it's in gear, it doesn't really do that at all, especially first and second gear. It's tight, super precise now. And along with the shifter, we got the steering wheel, which I upgraded, so it drives much better, but the steering feel, it just doesn't communicate with me at all. It's super numb, vague, and I wish they just, it would be amazing if they had a hydraulic steering rack or something. I know everything nowadays is electronic steering, but some automakers can make their steering feel very good being electronic, and this is not one of them. For an enthusiast car like this, I would expect a much better steering feel out of it. The good with the WRX, number one, is going to be the aforementioned aftermarket support. You can change every aspect of this car. Virtually everything, every corner of this car, you can change. You can change it to be a low rider. You want it to be a track beast, it can do that. You want it to be a straight line performer, it can do that, and easily add a whole lot of power with a tune. So what is the WRX good for? It is a perfect daily driver. If you want size, it is probably the biggest in the class. It's practical. The trunk space is large. I got 3 backpacks in the trunk right now, plus some other stuff. The interior, road trips, fantastic. Smooth roads is great. The suspension can be harsh on the TR version. It's stiff, very, very, very stiff, teetering harsh. On imperfect roads, it's going to give you seasickness. And what this holds in the lower trims, this is going to be the best value. One of the top 2 values in the class, along with the Elantra N. But if you get a base, or well, you can't get a base as a 25 model, but if you get a premium trim, that is the sweet spot. I wouldn't really go up to the limited trim. The TR trim is a lot of money. If you want the Recaros and the brakes, that's on you. And the TS trim is going to have that with the adaptive suspension. That might be worth getting into, but that price is going to jump up to about $48,000. This one is $44,000, and the premium trim about $36,000, limited about $39,000, $40,000. And if you want the GT, that's like $41,000-ish. It's going to be an impeccable value. That's what you keep in mind when you're getting the WRX, because it's not going to be the best at much of anything but value and practicality. It's going to get spanked, stock for stock, that is. And performance, looks, in my opinion, that's subjective. Fuel economy, it is somewhat efficient, but the price is more so compared to like a Civic SI trim that's around lower. It's like $31,000. So if you got like a base trim, that's going to line up nicely. But comparing, like, the performance doesn't increase the higher the trim you go. You get better brakes, but it's the same car. So you save a lot of money getting the lower trim levels, which is probably, that's the way I would recommend to go. Along with the modifications, most of these are very simple to do. It's not hard. This is like a big ass Lego where you can just snap stuff on, snap it off. The front bumper snapped in, snapped out easy. A lot of these modifications is just bolt on and screw off some stuff. It's not hard to do. Even the tune is easy. So this spoiler had to drill some holes, but the template it came with, super simple. Having all-weather capability is going to be a huge plus as well. Being in Michigan, it's going to be like 80 degrees today, and a couple days from now it's going to be like 60. It could possibly snow. This is Michigan. It has snowed in May. That ain't unforeseen. But being able to drive this in rain and snow and being fully in control without having to worry, being able to take off, I'm smart enough to know that when you're driving on ice, you need to be able to stop. Nice tire setup. I can just maneuver this so well. It's got the handbrake. It's going to be a ton of fun. These seats are mad comfy. These are a great selling point of this trim, the Recaros. So buying a WRX, keep value in mind. Don't, unless you plan on modifying it, you got your sights on a perfect build that you want, this might not be the perfect car for you. But if you got that vision, if you do your research beforehand, you can make this be a dream car. But some of the shortcomings I can't fix, like the steering feel. That is not, I don't think there's anything that you can do to really fix the steering feel or lack thereof. Owning this has been an interesting vehicle to own. It's my first and only Subaru. I had a couple all-wheel drive manuals. I had an Audi A5, I had the GR Corolla, and then we have this WRX. This is probably one of the, well, only the GR Corolla, and this are actually the rally cars that directly go head-to-head with one another. And I put this below that one. But, like I said, stellar value. That's what it is. I do have a lot of fun driving it on the streets. The gearing is great. Get the bang going through the gears. And since I fixed the shifter, it is a joy to drive now in that aspect of it. But when it comes to handling, it handles extremely well, but the steering feel is just not communicating with me as a driver, and that's something that I do long for when I do drive these cars. So that's all I got to say about my almost 1 year, 5,000 mile ownership experience with the WRX TR. Drop a comment, let me know what you agree with, what you disagree with, and what are your thoughts on the WRX as well. If you bought a competitor of the WRX, like the Civic Type R, Integra Type S, Elantra N, the Civic SI, what else we got? The GR Corolla, the Golf R, or just something in a higher or lower class, just let me know. Because I want to talk about that and see what you guys think about it. If you had any regrets buying a WRX, let me know. If you traded out of one, let me know. If you traded into one, I also want to know as well. So that's all I'm going to have to say in today's videos. You guys be cool, drive safe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace out.